Hello, you are listening to the Unqualified podcast. We are your hosts,
Jorge,
Carrie,
and Diamond,
where we speak our minds and share our unqualified opinions together. This is an AI-free podcast. All content is human designed and created by our team. Today's topic will be about the returning of eating disorders and how it's affecting society today. But don't forget, we're unqualified. They say fashion trends follow a 20-year cycle, and it seems like it isn't stopping at fashion. So the days of wanting to be size 0 have finally returned, along with other eating disorder cultures to match with it. So what is ED culture? There is no direct definition found on websites or anywhere on the internet.
I even checked Urban Dictionary.
Well, yeah, if it doesn't have it there, there's nothing.
I thought maybe something would be on there. I don't know.
Just not. I guess maybe it's too broad. It just covers too many things, or maybe it can be seen differently in different cultures. But yeah. Summarized, it's a culture that promotes just eating disorders in general, which, we'll get into it, but it's quite a vast topic. And yeah, it's mostly found on the internet now today, and it thrives in certain communities such as modeling and acting spheres. I've even found it somewhat in quote unquote nutritional videos. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but people kind of sharing this this is me eating really healthy. Did you guys ever see the melon girl? She would just showcase this. I would only eat melons for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She'd put it as this is the nutritional trend. You should eat this way.
I have never heard of this.
I did not see that, and I'm glad I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I'll double check, but people were really concerned about her health because she'd been doing it for quite a while. I can't remember if she passed away or if she went to the hospital, but it got intense.
Oh my God.
She literally for 40 days was eating just watermelon. What do we think brought it back? Is it the Ozempic? Is it something to do with weight loss? Some of it could be, I think, bad economy and different fashion trends that are coming back. So if you're looking in the late 90s, early 2000s trends, then, you're definitely looking at low-rise jeans and crop tops. And so if you're looking for that type of body where half of your stomach is showing all the time, I think that could be somewhat a reason. And I think we'll talk about it a little bit. Maybe, what could bring it back is a little bit of fascism, too. I don't know. Maybe. But what is society's obsession with commenting on bodies, do you think?
We've done it. Honestly, for as long as I can remember, we have done it.
I feel like if you're from a POC family...
Oh, God, true.
They're going to comment on your body. In fact,
yeah.
That insecurity you have about your body is about to be your nickname if you're Latino.
Oh, that's true! It's my dad's nickname.
Is it?
What's his name? Flaquito?
No, Palillo.
Gordito? Oh my
God.
God.
Since he was so skinny, so palo is stick, right? And so since he was so skinny, they're calling him little sticks. So palillo, right?
Oh.
And to this day, they still call him pali. It's crazy. It sticks with you for life. Yeah, even though he's not as skinny as he was, definitely not as back in the day.
That nickname stays with you forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am scared to ask if you're on the other side of that spectrum. Is it similar?
Yes.
Yes, but it's warranted.
Gordo, and your kid, it'll get passed down to your kid. So if you're nicknamed Gordo, your kid's gonna be little Gordo. Yeah, Gordito. Yeah. Gordo, ¿cómo estás, Gordo? ¿Cómo estás, Gordito? That's literally how they'll talk.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what does that mean? Gordito, does that mean larger?
The little chubby dude, little chubby,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the nickname?
Chubby. Gordito is chub. Gordo
so you're
is
saying
chubby.
Hey, chubby and little chubby?
Kinda, yeah.
That's
yes,
wild.
they absolutely will say that.
What the?
What's going on, chubs?
But yeah, so society's obsession could be just based off of the fact that it's embedded in the culture. Yeah, to think about body size and sort of body types, I guess.
I think, this is going to go off the deep end, but I think in a capitalist society, they need you to not like your body, right? So most difficult to obtain body is going to be the most ideal because the majority of people can't obtain it. So they're going to keep spending money to try to obtain that difficult body standard that just isn't attainable for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think it is very easy for these magazines to like kind of push stuff like that. Like the fad diets. And I mean, I sent you guys that diet from, was it Elle magazine from like the 70s or something? And it's just like drinking coffee and eating an egg.
Yes. Wine. It was wine. You drank a whole bottle of wine by the end of the day. You guys can't see it, but like what Diamond sent, it was literally like a quote unquote diet recommendation from, you said what, the 70s? 40s?
Yeah.
Something. It literally was like a glass of wine and 2 eggs, boiled preferred. And then it was like for lunch, it was like another 2 boiled eggs and 2 glasses of wine. Like the wine increased. It was like 2 glasses of wine for lunch. And then for dinner, it was like 3 cups and like I think 4 eggs. And like that was going to wrap up their entire day. It was a bottle of wine and like 6 eggs eaten throughout the day.
Protein.
A delicious meal.
Delicious meal.
I definitely think like it's just so profitable to make people not like their bodies that these companies can really take advantage of people, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the rule of marketing. Create a problem you can solve, right?
Supposedly solve.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah, and, allegedly.
And you know, in that sense too, we mentioned that article was from the 70s. It really goes to show that this trend of being skinny has kind of always existed. I think there's just pockets in time where it's extreme.
Yeah.
And we see that with like heroin chic in the 90s. We see that like in the 70s with very thin figures like Twiggy. And then I believe it was Karen Carpenter who had anorexia. You know, eventually, sadly, it led to her death. Obviously, this is a serious topic.
This one's double
be
serious.
with some things. Yeah,
it is because I feel like we all agree that it affects a lot of more people than like maybe our previous topics, or at least it hits closer to home. How about that? So
yeah,
I think it's definitely like more sensitive.
Yeah,
compared to the other topics.
Yes, that's true.
And I think part of us talking about it is to kind of remove a little bit of the sensitivity away from it. Because I think some people are scared to talk about this kind of thing for whatever reason, for backlash. And for that reason specifically, I kind of want to avoid naming any celebrities that have been getting attention for it. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah,
I kind of made sure to leave it out of my section just because I know that it's going to start discourse.
For sure. And I mean, of course, like for anybody who wants to share that, whether they're famous or not, or like people talking at podcasts, it is good when the individual wants to share that information. And like,
actually, I'm a liar. There is one celebrity I'm going to talk about, but she made it a thing about her. Like she spoke out specifically.
Yeah.
For it, so.
Yeah. No, totally. I know what you mean. Yeah. And it's good to share, you know, our stories and remove the stigma from this conversation or the taboo that this is very common. And we're about to transition into our opinion corner, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my section. But yeah, this is eating disorders overall is way more common than we think. And that's why it's important to have this conversation and then, just talk about it. And hopefully, if anything, this information will be helpful to you or just an encouragement and just a reminder that you're never alone. Yeah, it's good to talk about these types of things.
Yeah, going into my opinion corner, I just want to start off by saying I don't think people know what it looks like to have an ED. I did see a video, like a TikTok video of a creator speaking specifically about their own body and their own experience with their ED, and they had mentioned that when they were at their least healthy, people were complimenting them, saying that they look so good, they look so thin. And I think that is kind of a perspective that we don't really consider because we think that if you have an ED, you're going to look emaciated. And that's just not how it works. I even had, I didn't want to get into it so early, but I had my own sort of experience with an ED, with bulimia. And I remember when I tried to talk about it, my mom's mom overheard me speaking to my mom about it. And she was like, "You don't have bulimia, you're too fat."
Yeah. Which crazy thing to say.
Yeah, which, you know, I actually like wasn't that fat. I think I was probably at a healthy weight at that time. But yeah, she just, in her head, to be bulimic, you had to be thin, which is very untrue. Anyone in the bulimic community would know that. You could be any size, really, when you start. Obviously, when it gets to like extreme, that's when we start to see someone who might be emaciated. But, you know, it should be taken seriously at any phase.
Yes.
But basically, diving off of that, I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to avoid ED culture. And I say that as like, yeah, I mean, you can kind of ignore the magazines at the stores, right?
Yeah.
And you can ignore gossip columns and journalists. But if you're going on like TikTok shorts, even Twitter, well, it's not Twitter anymore, but I'm not going to call it the other name.
It's still Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Yeah.
We're calling it Twitter.
We're
We're real here. We're going to call it Twitter.
Yeah.
All right.
Unfortunately, it's kind of pushed in our faces all the time now. And
absolutely,
anyone on Twitter, I'm sure they've had this experience where, you know, you're logging in one day and there's just a bunch of ED posts and you report them, you block them, and you know, and I'm like, who is putting this on my feed?
I don't know if I've gotten them, and of course we want to be careful around how I ask this and how it gets answered, just so it's not triggering, but like what is depicted in the content, just so that I myself and maybe other people who may not, like what to look for, what does that look like, what is some of the things that you've seen?
Sometimes it's super obvious, like sometimes it's a picture of a girl that's normal weight, maybe slightly chubby, and then they're just calling her like fat and disgusting.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes it's like not as obvious. It could be like somebody's selfie, but the way that they're taking the picture is like a body check.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
It is, you know, part of ED language, ED culture language. A body check would be someone trying to show how small they are.
Yeah.
How thin they are by taking a picture next to something that could be really small. So that way you know how tiny they are, which is...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So size comparison, that type of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It might not seem like obvious. Like somebody might take a picture in their luggage and you just look at it like, oh, how funny. Someone's in their luggage. And it's like, this is actually a person body checking to show that they're so tiny that they will fit in this little luggage.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good example. So yeah, anybody listening, keep an eye out for stuff like that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I will say ED Twitter makes it pretty easy because they love to put ED Twitter in their name.
Oh, well.
They do.
So, but there are other examples. Something like TikTok, right? You could just be scrolling through and you wouldn't even know. And then you come across, I'm going to use your example, some girl eating watermelon every day and promoting a watermelon diet.
And like, then someone's like, I've seen this video for 4 days in a row now. That's bad from this coming from this creator. Yeah.
Even I saw, this is one that like really shocked me. There was a girl, she didn't look that big. She had a little tummy, whatever. She said herself that she was a size, I want to say she was a size 3.
Oh, yeah.
And she was shopping in Japan. Yeah, she's small. So she was shopping in Japan and she's like, I didn't know that you guys are so tiny here. You know, I'm a size 3. It could have been a size 6. But my point is that she was relatively small.
Yeah. I mean, also, what are women's sizes? A size 3 is a 6 in another brand. But yeah, I know what you mean.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, she went to Japan. She would be like a small size in the US, basically. She went to Japan. She couldn't fit in like any of the clothes. And she's like, guys, am I fat? Is a size 3 like fat?
Yeah.
And people in the comments were like the top comment was, the top comment was like, a size 3 is big. A size 3 is fat.
It's massive. It's large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked up a size 3 compared to like a size 1 and a size 6 and a size, 8, 12, whatever they have.
Yeah.
It's like totally normal. It's literally like, it was like a size above extra small.
Yeah, no, totally. And
I was like freaking out because people, and that comment had like 10,000 likes.
Yeah.
Saying a size 3 was big.
It's terrible. And like, you can never go off of Asian size. You can't, because they're just genetically smaller. Like, they're smaller people too. I think people don't realize that when they're looking like, oh, I don't fit the Asian size. It's like, yeah, but also the average height for Asian women is like 5 feet. It's pretty small, like compared to the rest of the world. So depending on your like ethnicity and your race, you're most likely always going to be, no matter how quote unquote skinny you make yourself, it's just a different body type. And that's just kind of how it is. And, or like, for example, like if I buy things in European size, I always have to buy something smaller because they run a little big. But that doesn't mean that I'm like super skinny, you know what I mean? Like it's just they're usually larger. And like I am half Asian, of like Asian descent, and I'm usually like a medium or sometimes a large when I buy something from Asia. So like yeah, it's so unfortunate that they're looking at that as like the standard when Asian cultures, Asian people just significantly smaller than the average individual. That's unfortunate.
And there's nothing wrong with being big. There's nothing wrong with being small. There's like we should celebrate body diversity. I still think that was a great message in the 2010s, and I think it's a great message now. And I don't want people to forget it. But continuing on, it does kind of feel like we're at a point where you can't really go to like a single social media site without getting exposed to ED content at some point. And furthering into that, I wanted to touch on celebrities because obviously we see them everywhere and we see them on our feeds. I don't want to speak about any specific celebrities, as I said before, but this specific celebrity did speak about her own experience with anorexia and how she's seeing people that she knew just become so thin. And you know this celebrity, Jamila Jamil.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I know some people say she's annoying. I haven't seen anything from her that I don't like, but she did speak about how she's had an eating disorder and that she ended up working in one of the worst industries to have an eating disorder, right?
Modeling. Yeah.
Modeling, acting, like,
yeah,
it's bad. And
I think it's encouraged, unfortunately, to an extent in that line of work.
It is. It really is. And she even made a TikTok. I'll have to find it because maybe we should include it. But in her TikTok, she had spoken personally about how, you know, she notices everyone's getting thinner again. She'll go to premieres, she'll hug friends that just feel so frail that she's scared to like break them. And she's not speaking about it in a way that's disrespectful, but it's out of concern. And I think we should be able to talk about this topic out of concern.
Yeah.
I do think so. On one hand, it's not everyone's business what's going on. Absolutely, I agree. It's not everyone's business. But we also need to recognize that if you're someone that is on a platform, that you have a lot of fans, if a lot of those fans maybe are young children, I think it's important to be a good role model, especially if you're going to be taking up roles where you're doing a movie that is targeted towards a young audience.
And like you said, too, I mean, it's kind of why we did an episode on this is you're unfortunately going to be exposed to the ED culture and ED posts or posts, you know, that are around this type of topic. We can't save you from that. And why it's important to make content to give it more context, define it more, and have a conversation so that as there is as much content being produced to expose it in a way where it could be young people seeing these types of posts may not get that and may not understand truly what it is and unfortunately might change their mind and how they should think about their bodies as well. It's important for us and people with platforms, like you said, to combat that, give information out, have these conversations. So I completely agree.
That actually leads me into my next topic. So diet culture is inherently racist, which I feel like every time I'm on the mic, I'm like, did you know this is racist? Like everything.
Well,
everything comes from racism.
We should change your shirt for your character. Like, did you know this is racist?
You know, call me the woker.
The woker. Help.
Do you want to know how I got canceled?
Stop. I guess you could be canceled for discussing how everything's racist, huh? In 2026.
Maybe. We'll find out.
True.
Basically, at least in the I was listening to a podcast, which we will link in the bio, but a sociologist, Sabrina Springs, was talking about the Black body and diet culture and different things. And so what she was saying was originally when you have a white culture and a Black culture, the white culture really tried to differentiate itself from the Black culture. And one thing about you know, obviously goes back to slavery. One thing about the black slaves at the time was that they were considered to be more indulgent and were considered to like be more thick, usually because of the type of food that they were eating. But obviously different body type.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if they're eating a heavier food, they're putting on more weight. And the white culture at the time was like, we got to be as far away from that as possible. So it's easier for them to be thin, but keeping that thinness became a priority because it differentiated you. And it kind of was supposed to have this image of like, we are disciplined. We don't overindulge. And that's how we maintain our thin figure.
Yeah. I mean, also, I think it's that, and also it just gives them an excuse to negate more negativity towards a group of people that they don't like. Even if, I agree though, like, to put a Jenga on it, on top of that, they'll be like, I think we talked about it, not on the pod, but just as friends at one point, you know, you look back at when certain artists would draw black people, right? And they would definitely accentuate certain features to be characteristics. And again, I think it was just to differentiate and then also to just put down. And it was so unfair. And a lot of that, unfortunately, is still stuck to some extent.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there's still like, I mean, what Kim Kardashian did that one photo shoot, right? Ooh. And obviously that was based off of like a black woman in her body. And even today, we kind of see how this has affected the black community because we still have figures like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, very voluptuous woman, but very thin in the stomach. And you're right, they police where they want that fat to be. Absolutely, Carrie. I agree.
Yeah.
It's very like, it is a way of to control and criticize people. Absolutely. But because
who would have thought it would be connected to racism? That doesn't sound like racism at all.
Wow.
But unfortunately, yeah, it has gotten to the point in the black community where it's like, they don't want to see a little tummy. They want, if you're going to have these curves, you better have a flat tummy to come with it, which is another unrealistic body standard. Ha, ha, ha.
And, you know, a lot of these women, queens as they are, and I follow a lot of them, and some of them have been a little bit more open with it. Girls, just be aware and just know for models, any artist that you're watching and you're like, oh my gosh, their body's so amazing in this dress, you will not believe how many times they wear, like, corsets and padding at the same time. Some of them have been really open about it. And to some extent, if you want to have a certain look, I think in this broken society that we have, I would love it for us to just get to a point where we can just accept body types and consider everything in all shapes beautiful. But in the broken system that we have, I guess the next best thing is just to be aware of that and to celebrate artists or models that are honest about it. And it's just like, hey, I looked really good in that Vogue shoot, but you need to be aware that I had, like the hip pads and I had a corset on. You know, like they put them in a lot of different things to shape the body to how they want it to be in the clothes. Yeah, just be aware of that. No one really comes out naturally that way. This is why for Oscars or Emmys, it takes 4 hours to get ready before they even go to these events. So, and men too, like, please, like, it's not just ED is not just a woman's thing, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute as well, but men have, like, padding in their clothes everywhere, all the time as well. Like, it's a thing, and we all are trying to fit inside this societal structure and these sort of, I don't know, society's just tried to place us in different boxes, and everybody's trying to shape their bodies to them, unfortunately. My section is a little more serious. I will go through it quickly, but I think they're just important things to consider. It's not really to scare anyone. It's really more to just inform. And because this is stuff, as I was, prepping for this episode, like, I didn't even know these type of statistics. And so we're going to get into some statistics, some general information on how ED affects our culture. And yeah, just to give more information on what I could find. Really starking, is that a word? I made up a word last time. Starking, I think it's stark. Stark.
A really stark contrast. You can say that. Stark
contrast, yeah. Our pointer being the interesting and worrisome percentage is 9% of the U.S. population, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 30 million Americans, will have an eating disorder in their lifetime at some point. It doesn't mean that you can't stop or that it doesn't mean you'll have it forever, but just that they experience it. So 30 million Americans experience ED at one point in their life. And eating disorders have the second highest mortality rate of any psychiatric illness, behind opioids. My brain.
Opioids.
Behind
opioids.
Works. Opiate? Yeah. I don't know. I think it's opioids.
Opiate addiction.
Yeah, so it's the second one behind that. Like, don't let that go in one ear and out the other. We all are familiar with how dangerous opioids are. This is just as dangerous as that, where it's second. It's just right under this as an addictive behavior. 30 million Americans, 9% of the U.S. population. That means, unfortunately, there's a mortality that's caused by ED it's roughly around every hour. Specifically, it's 52 minutes. One person, unfortunately, loses their life as a direct consequence of an eating disorder. So it's way more common than we think, which is why this conversation is important. And it definitely can affect your life in a very life-changing way, and or unfortunately can, cause some people to lose their life. So I just didn't realize how common it was and how serious it can really be. So for any of the listeners listening, again, it's not to scare, it's just to inform, to, just do a little self-check yourself and think about maybe what's going on in your life. It could be stressful times. It could be maybe you're in a new environment, like a new job that you have. It could be a lot of different things that could be causing the relationship with your food to maybe be just maybe not even like completely unhealthy, but just not as balanced as it could be. I have found a lot of people, maybe even unnecessarily or due to really busy schedules, not eating. That's a very common thing that I know people in my life who are really bad about not eating. And I don't want to say that that's immediately an eating disorder, but that could just be like a starting point, unfortunately. So like it could transfer to something where you just get really used to not eating, and then maybe, let's say something happens in your life, you lose a loved one or anything more serious, that could transfer into, worse behaviors, I think. So it's just good to just think about what's going on in your daily life. Okay, and then people of color, I read this in an article written by a doctor, someone who's got a PhD, and we'll send all the links of all of the resources that we use. But his paper was very interesting, is people of color with eating disorders are half as likely to be diagnosed or to receive treatment. So what I thought was interesting, Diamond, is you talked about like how ED originally could have been like affected and caused by racism. And then, of course, no surprise when it comes to the healthcare part of it, it's also racist. So
it's always racism.
It's always racism.
It's always racism.
So I'm just going to straight up read it just because they wrote it very clearly and succinctly, and I just want to give you the information correctly. So it says higher weight individuals. This is based off of a study group, by the way. Higher weight individuals, racial and ethnic minorities, those from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, and males may not recognize their needs for treatment and may not be properly screened for ED and may not be referred to treatment. So one result can be discrimination as stated above, but also the groups of individuals may not perceive a need for treatment. Again, this is why it's important to have these types of conversations. So number one is a culture aspect. You may grow up in a culture, in a household where that's kind of normal to talk about, skipping meals or fasting for a certain period of time. Unfortunately, that can happen a lot. But then also when it came to these people going in for treatment, it says only 30% of people with symptoms perceived the need, and then 10% got an actual diagnosis when they went in. So 30% of those people, 10% only got a diagnosis from a doctor when they went in, which is crazy. So yeah, eating disorders are not an easy thing to navigate, and depending on your race and your ethnicity and possibly maybe the class that you're in, the social class, that could affect if the doctor will even look at you properly and consider you as somebody who may have a disorder or not. Like, it's just unfortunate, but that seems to be the case in this paper.
I see. Since, as we've mentioned before, this is definitely a heavier topic, and one that definitely affects, at least in my opinion, a wider array of people. I feel like a lot of people have experienced this. And let me address to the people that have already acknowledged, that they have this. So if there are any people that are recovering, I have seen like their symptoms, right? Even if they do acknowledge that they have eating disorders, even if they do acknowledge that, oh, I need to fix this right away, it's not like an automatic fix. I think I do want to dispel this notion like, oh, just eat more, right? Or, oh, just eat less, right? It's definitely people when they're on this path to recovery, they actually feel like sick. Like they still feel sick when they like eat, or they still feel guilty when they eat. Like they have actual biological reactions to all this. So to anybody, that are recovering, hats off to you. I hope the recovery goes well. I hope that you can be an example to other people that might be suffering from eating disorders that also want help. So with that said, comorbidities are very common as well when it comes to eating disorders. Usually,
for the people in the back, what does that mean?
So comorbidities basically like it comes with other disorders or other like illnesses, symptoms, stuff like that, right? So for example, you might have anorexia, and that might come with anxiety, right? So you might have anxiety of staying thin or getting thinner, anxiety of what you eat. It really it correlates very strongly, right? It affects your mood heavily, impulse as well. Just it affects a lot of things, and I'll attach the study and the graph that I'm looking at here. But it's really it comes with a lot. It comes with a lot, and I do feel like if you do end up recovering from this, then you'll see market improvements in other aspects of your life. So it's definitely recovering from this is definitely something that you should be proud of.
Yeah. And it's a battle of the body and the mind, right?
Exactly. And we want you to be in the best state of both. And another thing to note, men, right? Obviously we want a man's opinion. But men, we are not safe, right? I want to get this out the way. Eating disorders are very heavily associated with women, and I feel like this whole episode, probably a lot of women have been imagining women when we talk about this, right? But men, like, we don't acknowledge it, but it is also extremely prevalent in our culture as well. Not as much as, women, because with women, they follow fashion trends and stuff like that. But let me at least get a little bit with, like, gym bros, right? Like, the gym obsession, like, obviously, if you go to the gym to, strengthen your body, to, work out, that's fine, right? If you're doing it just to be active, perfectly fine. Right, but you're not going to be looking like the most jacked person on the planet. That's not going to happen unless you have like some extreme diets that might end up hurting you, right?
You need some roids.
Just in general. No, I'm kidding.
As a treat.
Because like, oh my god, I remember like when I was back in college, so maybe like 5-ish, 8-ish years ago, there was this trend of like women discovering like, oh yeah, we like dad bods, right? Dad bods were such a great thing. It was music to all men's ears, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's cuffing season. I need a big boy.
Need a big boy.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Right? That's music to the big boy's ears, right? And that's because I feel like a lot of us unknowingly also suffer that at least eating disorder mentality, I guess, or body dysmorphia. There we go. Some type of body dysmorphia, and we don't even know it, right? For example, I would argue like stuff like G.I. Joe, really buff dudes that we see on TV, like that's the type of body that we want. That's the type of body that we would strive for, and that's
the body they tell you should have.
Exactly. We should be really tall, like 7 feet, like muscular, like can lift a building dudes, and that's not going to be most of us, I promise you.
So I will say it definitely feels like the body standard is dictated by men for both genders.
Yes. No. Let's clarify
because women
this. Yes.
do not care if you are a buff G.I. Joe action figure.
No. Like... Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned this. Right. The men, like, we only have ourselves to blame. Right. We're kind of the ones pushing this out there. We're the ones that think that we want to be G.I. Joe. We should get out of that mentality, and in turn, hopefully, we can stop pushing this on ourselves, right? It's rather self-inflicted. And like Diamond says, women, for a very large part, do not care about that. They just care that you're a good person, right? Not a good guy. We're going to tackle that someday, but a good
the good
person.
Guy episode.
Yeah, the good guy episode. Oh my god.
When is the good guy episode?
We'll find out, but oh my god, I have a lot to say about that as an ex-good guy myself.
So do I.
What about a nice guy?
Oh yeah,
Same
nice guy.
thing.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Same thing. Same thing, right?
Same thing.
You don't want to be
red
in.
Flag.
We'll cover that someday. Anyway, now I'll respect Diamond's wishes. I won't list celebrities. I won't list their names.
You can. I didn't want to. I'm just like, there's gonna be fanboys in the comments if I name
like, okay, because like there is a wave. Let me at least say, with celebrities, there is a wave of like heavier set. I'll list women because those are the ones that get most attention. If you guys think of any men, please bring them up.
Okay, I can see your notes, and I just want you to know that Barbie Ferreira is no longer chubby. She's been on Ozempic. Well, she's been on some weight loss GLP one. Yeah, she's skinty now.
And you know, I think this kind of leads into my topic, right? A lot of celebrities, at least plus size or at least the, you know, not initially skinny women, right, have been losing weight. I feel like at least in the 2010s, we had female celebrities that like pushed the body positivity agenda, thankfully, and you know, they were people that we could look up to. And you know, this is a very complicated topic because like some of these celebrities, they didn't take like Ozempic, they just watched what they eat and they were doing more exercises, and you know, they've been vocal about their weight loss. But now, because they have lost that weight, you know, some people feel a little jaded. They feel like, oh, we lost our body positive celebrity, which is absolutely not the case, because they do still advocate for body positivity, but they just happen to change how they look.
I do think this topic is complicated.
It's a very complicated topic because I can see both sides, right? I can see both sides.
And maybe like different weight loss journeys are for different reasons, you know?
Not even just like with weight though, just like body positivity as a whole. There was one creator on TikTok who promoted her flat chest because she wanted other women to feel good about, like, you don't have to have big boobs to love your body. You could be a thin, you know, flat-chested girl, love your body. And she created a huge following, like over 1 million followers for that. And then she got a boob job.
Oh.
After all the skits she made, basically like saying that she could love her body and didn't need big boobs.
Right.
She got a boob job.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now
she left me behind.
Dude, the comments were so mad at her.
I remember. Okay, I'll list a few celebrities. But I won't say anything like super.
Han, wait, real quick. To be honest, if you're going to end up doing something like that, you just have to come off with. If I did that, right? Like I'm like, oh, flat chest, it's good. Like you should love your body, which you should. Like if I was doing the same stuff and then I got a boob job, she should have wrote in a post like, okay, I guess boobs are kind of great. Like, just say something funny, please.
Exactly. I mean, okay, again, correct me, chime in whenever, but for example, like, I know Meghan Trainor a long time ago came out with this annoying-ass song all about that bass. Yeah. Annoying. I hate that song. I just hate it. I don't like that song either. Hate it, right? But I remember she did that, and then she lost all her weight. So it's kind of like, okay, does that song still hold meaning? Like, could you still to this day sing all about that bass? I don't know anything about Lizzo's songs. Let me get that completely out the way.
The juice. Blame it on the juice.
Blame it on the juice.
Y'all know more than me, right? But I know she lost a lot of weight, and for her, I do feel like it's a win or lose, like it's a lose-lose situation. I know a lot of people were making fun of her before she lost the weight, and now that she did lose the weight, now people are like, "Oh, you lost too much weight." And
women can't win. Right. Women can't win.
Yeah, women really can't win, right? And so, you know, but you know, thankfully there are some plus-size women that are unapologetically proud of their bodies, and you know, they haven't at least gone through some changes. I really do think that it's complicated. It's a complicated
you know
topic.
What maybe be like a better way to look at it is, I wish we would just maybe the next evolution, the Pokemon evolution to body positivity is also just having the positivity about body change. Like, it's not, of course, it's not like we're saying like Lizzo would have to say a certain size just because she supports bigger women. You know what I mean? In a general sense. Again, I know this is like a complicated subject, but like we should be able as a society to, and I'm just using Lizzo as the last one that we talked about, any of them, anyone, like, if you're smaller and you gain more weight, like, we should celebrate every stage of your life. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to recognize you're not always going to stay a certain way either for very long. Like, life ebbs and flows all the time. Women have children, especially. That will change your body a lot. So you're beautiful when you're in those times, and then you're beautiful when you're skinnier. Like, in every form of it, learning how to celebrate body change, I think, is important. But what makes it complicated is we get into this, like, this side of the aisle and this side of the aisle. And so when people, quote unquote, when we make an aisle, it feels like people switch teams when they change between them. But we don't recognize how often people in their life will cross that aisle at different times. You'll be a little heavier sometimes in your life, and you'll be a little lighter in sometimes in your life. And it's just how it is. And you'll go back and forth a little bit with that, you know, and men included.
Yeah.
You know, and it's some of it's lifestyle, some of it's your actual genetics. It could just be something in genetics that kind of stops you from being in one to the other. So I don't know. That would be my 2 cents about trying to navigate a new way of thinking about body positivity, is like, you know, even for the quote unquote flat chested girlies, right? Myself included in that crowd. Like, if you were to, I guess, for that girl who ends up getting a boob job or any type of like bodily enhancements or changes, of course that's up to each individual. But yeah, I don't know. I just think we're so far from just being able to just celebrate people in their bodies, period. You know, like, if you can celebrate all of them truly from one side of the spectrum to the other, it doesn't really matter where anybody sits on the scale. So it wouldn't feel like tribalism, you know, wouldn't feel like, oh, well, if Lizzo lost this weight, now she's not in my group anymore. Or like the flat-chested girl talking about how she got a boob job kind of thing. Now those people feel like they were left behind. But if we really could just support each other in all of the changes, then nothing would ever be a betrayal. Like,
no.
Skinny looks good on you, and so does a little more weight, and boobs on you look great too. I don't know.
I will say, I remember now that you bring this up, right? I do think that when our body types do change, so for example, let's say you were fat, then you get skinny, it is very important to note how you react to that. Yeah. And I remember specifically Lizzo, right? When she lost her weight, at least in the middle of losing her weight, she had her album of her, like, when she was like naked or whatever, but she was like at her heaviest. And she did like an X, like she painted an X on that album cover, and then she said, "Bye, bitch." Yeah. She was very hostile to her old, heavier self. And, you know, what kind of message will, you know, the plus size women get from that? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, she hated herself the whole time, and you shouldn't be proud of that, and, you know, stuff like that, right? I feel like
hating on yourself.
Exactly. So I think, you know, back onto your point, Carrie, like, it really is like we really should handle body changes with grace, and I do feel like we should handle it delicately, right? For example, not just that, but I remember a while back, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. I remember, rest in peace. I remember that he was losing weight, and then people were like, "Oh, he's so skinny," without knowing that he was having, you know, health complications.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, once it came out that, you know, he passed away, I really do, you know, I remember that pretty often. I try not to comment on weight losses, like celebrities. You can see certain celebrities that have gone through major weight loss, and I'm kind of like, okay, let me think back to this one occasion, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes. I think this leads to my bottom line. No one should say anything about anybody's body. I feel like if it's not positive, then don't say anything about it. Yeah. I know I'm pretty much a hypocrite for talking about, you know, saying, but this is for informational, like, examples, right?
We weren't putting anybody down.
Yeah, we're not putting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're not putting anybody down. We are just saying all this as examples, and, you know, it should be brought up so that people... Exactly.
We're talking about awareness.
We're talking about awareness. And I think people should only say positive things to each other. And, I mean, that's corny as hell. I get it. But the ramifications of not doing that is very, very serious. Bottom line is, as a biologist, I gotta say, eat what your body needs. And, Carrie, you mentioned about Watermelon Girl or whatever.
Yeah.
That leads to my point. Like, you know, you won't get all your nutritional values from watermelon, right? You gotta get your meats, you gotta get your vegetables, you gotta get your fruits.
You gotta get your eggs, and you gotta get your wine.
Exactly. Exactly, right? And you can get anything from all kinds of foods, and let me encourage everybody to eat it all. At least, the safe way. Cook your meats, pasteurize your milk, don't be dumb. And, if you are to exercise, do it to keep your body healthy, not to necessarily lose weight or to get, super buff. Just be active. That's all I ask people.
Losing weight should be an additional effect. Like, it's a cause of the work that you're doing.
Exactly. Don't let it be your driving factor. Let it be for health. Those are my bottom lines, that's my take on it. But with that said, now we can move on to the hot take section. Ladies, what do you have for us?
Hot takes. I'll go ahead and start. You did talk about it a little bit already, Jorge, but I'm just going to reiterate it. You are not safe just because you are a man. I know Jorge already covered this, but specifically, like, what I'm going to talk about is, like, ED is not just a woman's thing, but unfortunately, this is one area in the healthcare where they have mainly categorized it under women, like how it's screened for. So, like, rates of eating disorders between men and women, women were more likely to be screened for it properly, as opposed to men, where kind of what, again, what Jorge was touching about is, to some extent, it's like the, what would you call it, male community is just not willing to accept the fact that that's even possible for men. There's some, I guess, a silver lining way to look at it is there is an increasing rate. Well, this isn't the part that's a silver lining. The negative part is increasing ED in men is increasing at a faster rate than for females recently. Why is that? It's mainly due to... Yeah, that too. Maybe, yeah.
Probably,
but yeah,
shit.
Societal stuff for sure. And then mainly due to better screening and assessment measures.
I would say so.
That's actually good.
I did find a sheet that talks about it. Actually says like what ED looks like in men, and it was like given from a hospital, so I can share that as well. But yeah, it's just you are not safe just because you're a man. And if you're listening to this and being like, well, I'm not a woman, none of these apply to me, and you're just kind of like listening in your car, well, thanks for listening, number one. But number two, you are not safe just because you are a man. So
I'm not throwing up in the bathroom. It doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, I just don't eat for 2 days.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like men would probably bully each other if they found out.
Probably,
That we have
yeah.
Well, I mean, yes. I feel like we probably wouldn't. I wouldn't call it like. Yeah, I would try to avoid to say like, oh yeah, I have an eating disorder, because they're just gonna assume I stick my finger down my throat. So yeah, we would actually. You're right. We
I
would
can
bully each
already
other.
hear like the gag reflex jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say that the male community is not very supportive. With
We're not. We are not, fellas. Please, let's fix that.
Yeah, and if a buddy ever were to come to you about any information like this, like, take it very seriously. And
Yeah, it's your boy, man.
it's
Don't
your
leave him
boy.
like that.
Exactly.
Support your boy.
Yeah,
Support your boy.
exactly.
I feel like my hot take is pretty hot. I think part of the reason we're seeing ED culture rise is because this is how a fascist government tries to control young women. I think if women are too focused on having to look a certain way, they're not going to be trying to make sure that their body gets like the health and nutrients it needs, and even kind of jumping off of like Ozempic, right? Ozempic can help people, but there's things you need to do on top of it to maintain your health, because otherwise you're not getting enough vitamins, you're not doing any strength conditioning, you're going to lose your muscles, you're going to lose your hair, and you're going to feel weak.
You're gonna have arthritis by the time you're 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, something else that Jamila was saying is, maybe it wasn't her, maybe it was somebody else, but osteoporosis is really serious, and y'all need to make sure that you're getting your nutrients, because it really sucks when you're old and you have osteoporosis and your bones are not boning the way they need to.
Your bones aren't boning.
No,
Not
I
boning.
can't bone.
Okay?
Do you even
And-
bone, bro?
It's serious, guys.
It is.
Serious, sorry.
True.
But yeah, I think it's very beneficial to a fascist government if women especially are weak, focused on their appearance, focused on not getting their nutrients, because then you're not as smart, you're not thinking as clearly, you're not as level-headed. It's no shocker that these eating disorders cause a lot of emotional problems, as well as things like brain fog, and you're not thinking clearly. And that's very advantageous for a government that wants to take advantage of you, because you're not smart enough to know what to do because you're focused on other things.
Feed your brain to fight fascism.
Not only that, you know, it really creates a divide with the haves and have-nots, right? People with better resources probably would be skinnier because they have all these resources and to upkeep, and they would try to promote this image that the poor people can't have, and then they might try to promote infighting amongst us, and you know, this is there's a lot of layers to all this, and I think you have a point, Diamond. I think this is a form of control, like you said. You have a good point.
I'm cooking.
You're cooking.
She's cooking.
Get her out the kitchen. It's called cooking,
she's
not
cooking because she
queen.
wants to, okay?
Oh, okay.
Her hot take section is crazy, by the way.
This is pretty hot.
I don't know if you're actually gonna say that. That is crazy.
Okay, the first part is a joke, but the second part is the actual thing. All right? If you're gonna throw up on people who call you fat. All right, I don't want you to take shit from people. All right, my opinion is always of stand up for yourself and fuck the other people. Just, you know, stand up for yourself. But I will say, when Diamond, you have mentioned, I have seen ED Twitter, and I do go into their profiles, and I do see what they say about other people, their thinspos, their picture, like update pictures, and holy shit, like these people are like skeletons, basically, and they still want to get.
They're attacking themselves and attacking other people.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, and the thing is, they attack in packs. I swear to God, like the moment you get quote tweeted by one of them, they're all going to be like, oh yeah, they're blah, 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 or whatever. But
it's such a I mean, let's be real. Twitter is full of a lot of disgusting communities these days.
It is. And the thing I don't understand is they're always so mean. They're always so mean to people. Like, it's crazy to me, right? People are like, oh, you know, you never know what they're going through. Yes, I will grant that. But also, like, at the very least, right? People that have their own issues, they tend to like not be as mean as people as these, you know, people with ED, right? They're always mean, they're always lashing out. And, you know, look, if you at least acknowledge they have ED, keep it to yourself. Don't go out here calling people names, and don't call them pigs, don't call them like anything. And this goes back to my bottom line. Don't say anything mean about other people's body, all right? If you acknowledge that you have it, at the very least, like, keep it to yourself, and hopefully you can recover from it. That's my take on it, right? With that rant over. Positive section. Ladies, what do we got?
My positive section, silver lining, to lighten up the conversation a little bit is, I think we just covered again about how you can't control what you're going to see online. So you will get content about ED or communities that are relevant to that, like on Twitter and all that stuff. Also, being alive in a digital age also allows you to have awareness. These types of podcasts like we're doing, other people talking about it in forums, like try to just be as informed as you can as you navigate through the crazy cosmic mess that the internet is. And it's good to talk about these things. You are not alone. I want to just reiterate that again. Like, based off of the statistics, it's super common. It's nothing to really be ashamed about. Please, you know, if you need to talk to someone in your life about it, find a safe individual, a safe group of friends, find community, even online, like wherever it makes sense for you. And we are in a time together to share like our personal experiences with each other. And that's what helps us like bid taboos and stigmas goodbye. Right? So just, it's good to have these types of conversations. And if you want more insight into people sharing stories, like, well, I don't have anybody that I could reach out to, but I would love to hear someone else's experience. If you just like search on YouTube or really any video platform, like podcast eating disorder episode, you're going to be able to hear from other people, like Diamond had said about that actress before. Listen to them share their stories, hear what maybe truly helped them in their time of need, or like how they still struggle with it sometimes. Like, it's just good to share human experiences and human stories because it's relevant to all of us in some way, shape, or form. So my silver lining is, yes, there's a lot of content really bad out there that's harmful, but there's a lot of really great resources and people out here that are trying to combat those types of stigmas and openly talking about it for free. You can see it online, and some of them are big names, so it's just good to support those people, and also just get yourself all the information you might need.
That was great, Carrie. For my section, my positive section, the millennials remember the 2000s, and they're here to remind us that we do not have to go back to the days of hyper criticizing our bodies. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that magazine spread of, I believe it was Jessica Simpson. And I remember people just being outrageous about how she looked. And looking at it in the modern day, I was like, she looks fine. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with her.
Yeah.
And I think that's why some millennials are actually scared to go back to low-rise jeans too, because the trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Valid.
The trauma of low-rise jeans. But that being said, I also agree with, hopping on what Carrie said. There's just so many more resources now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That you can find people speaking about their experiences. There's different groups. There's a Reddit for people that are in recovery. And actually, I think that's one of the Reddits that I put in my sources, because people were saying that they had to delete their socials because it was just so triggering, the type of content that they were seeing. So there's a lot of places that you can find support, and it is unfortunate that we're forced to see a lot of triggering content these days, but definitely make sure that you have a good support system if you need one, and talk to people if you have to. There are cheaper ways to get therapy, and I know that's super hard in this day and age, but there's a community out there for you. You just gotta find it.
Yes.
And there are people that do not want to go back to those days.
Absolutely
of
not.
hyper criticizing the body.
Absolutely.
I don't.
I remember as a teenager, oh my God, that's all we talked about.
Yes.
That's all we talked about. Oh, your weight, body positive. Like, that's all we talked about. And with all the progress that we made, like, I don't want to go back to, like, oh, skinny is good. Like, fuck that.
Man, with only reaching 30, it has blown my mind that I've already have started to see the first initial cycle of, like, oh, now I've truly lived and experienced when with the saying of, like, humanity repeats itself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing that, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I thought I would feel that way when I was, like, 80, and I'm getting it in my 30s. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nutty, like you said, saying that in real time. But like Diamond says,
in real time in 4K.
And I mean, not even just the millennials. I would say like Gen Z too. Like,
yeah.
I feel like we were all affected by this.
Young or old Gen Z, not young.
Yeah,
Gen Z.
yeah.
Young Gen Z got to enjoy their bodies.
Yeah, congratulations.
More, at least.
We told you to love yourself.
Not the ones on Tumblr. Not like me.
No.
Oh my God. But yeah, I feel like we all at least are able to say, to love your bodies, and I feel like we can at least lower the effects of, the rise in eating. But
I think a big thing I want to say before we sign off is enjoy your body, because you only have one, and you don't want to look back one day and be like, wow, I was so beautiful. I can't believe how much I hated my body, how much I hated how I looked. I was so young. And now you can't even appreciate yourself because you spent all the time living in that body, hating it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's my 2 cents.
For me, and unfortunately, my train of thought is male centered, is male, focused. So I will say, I know some people probably do this to attract partners. So my advice would be, if you're doing anything in terms of weight to find a partner, please don't do that. Don't let that be your main motivator. Plus size people, I've seen my whole life, plus size people, skinny people, all people, nobody has any problems finding partners if you're cool, if you're chill, right? If you're a normal person, if you can behave like a normal person. Well, I'm not gonna say that. If there's somebody out there for everyone, right?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And you shouldn't do things for external factors, like that. You should do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for your health.
And wherever you are in your journey, and like we talked about earlier, like your body changes throughout your life all the time. Like it's not always a consistent thing. Even for people who go in the gym all the time, like it just changes. And if you have a partner out there for you, there's nothing that you could or couldn't do that would make them be less interested in you or love you any less. So there really isn't anything external about you that you have to change for the right person.
And if it does change, if they do change their feelings about you because of that, then they're
not the right person.
That's not the one.
That's not
the
one.
That's not the one. Trust me. All right. And we've all been like through different phases in our weights too, right? I was heavier, then I got skinny, and then I got heavier again. It's really like it changes, it fluctuates. Tough. Yeah. That's life.
And we loved Jorge in every cycle of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Any final words?
Yeah, these are all our opinions, y'all, so don't forget we're unqualified.